Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish out there. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We are hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Prepare for this.
The setup of the century for Bitcoin to break out, go from 110 to $164,000 is around the corner. Is Ethereum dead? Ethereum looks like it's setting up for a monster move. What are we doing about it? Altcoins about to fly. Everybody, let's dive in. The bull season is here. In fact, it's been here for about a year and a half, and it's just felt so frustrating with the price action chopping around in the areas that we saw. But when we zoom out and look at the chart, we are seeing some magnificent setups for further price action to the upside. But it doesn't come without some caveats on some little bit of hiccups along the way. Looking at the price action right here, we are watching for this mega pump gateway to get breached. This is at $110,000 level. And from this point, I do think the price action is going to move very fast up here into this $164,000 level. I'm going to show you exactly why here in a few minutes. Make sure you follow us for more. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure that we can keep you on the right side of the trend here on BitLab Academy, because it's not just Bitcoin. It's also looking at Ethereum, seeing the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart coming in, showing a nice bit of a bottoming formation here, with the price action finding a little bit of a roundingness right in here. Got some bullish divergence here. And again, this is ETH to Bitcoin. Are we seeing the setup for the Ethereum price action to start booming back to the upside? Because on the ETH to US dollar charts, we are seeing the breakout of this range right here, this descending resistance level coming right into, I did not draw this for this price action. We've had this drawn out for quite some time, an area, a range, price range region that we were watching for. A little bit of trouble to get through. And right now we're seeing exactly that. When you set up your charts in a meaningful way with real data, you see the areas of interest of where you might have some trouble with price action, which helps you not to be so frustrated when the price action pushes up like this and just sort of plateaus. Now, this does not mean that this breakout does not suggest that we're going straight into this green box region that we've been watching for. It does, however, give us indication that we are expecting some trouble here. Now, some people see this and say, man, this is a bull flag. It's going to be just like this. We measure from the base to the top, and it's just going to have this next move to the upside. Maybe that happens. Maybe the price action has the trouble as it is happening right here, potentially washing back out down, clearing out some of those bulls, trapping some of the bears, only to then get the move up into this region. Either way it plays out doesn't matter to me. We are stacking in to basically contend with our bias, one, but also to risk manage. What we're seeing right now, I do think is setting up for incredible price action to the upside. Now, I do want to welcome everybody that's here. If this is your first time here, I can guarantee you it is not going to be your last time. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. My name's Kellam, and we are going to help make sure that you're looking at a variety of different data points, so you're not just becoming a victim of the emotion of the price of that asset you're holding, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Solana, Dog coin, doesn't matter what you're looking at. We're trying to capture the momentum shifts between different price action moves, whether it be on the daily chart, the 3-hour chart, the 15-minute chart. We want to make sure that we can capitalize on these market movements, take advantage of the emotional reactions of all these other people in the market so that we can make money in this market, so we can change our lives. And this is for each and every one of you. My question for you right now is, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling grateful? Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you feeling excited about this market? Are you feeling stressed? Take note of all those things because it will affect how you are navigating this market. Now, I will ask each and every one of you, if you are here, shout out to everybody. If you're watching here on YouTube, I appreciate you. Make sure when you do look at everything on this stream, make sure you slide down right here, hit that like button. Make sure it says subscribe. Turn this little button right here, click all, turn on your notifications. And then, of course, we have the that link. Did I not pin it up in the top? We should have. Let me go ahead and let me pin this really quick. I'm going to pin that. Sorry, because I had to reset the link. We got some great TA we're going to be diving into here in just a moment. So go everybody, hit that like button, subscribe, ding the bell. There we go. Now this should be pinned up in the top if you're on YouTube. That is if you want to join us over in LBank and get access to the master Discord group we're going to be doing with Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy. So you get access to all of us, Drew, Josh, Deezy, me, TJ, all of us in there providing charts, signals, and more. That is in the top right here, this pinned post. If you're watching on Rumble, we've been getting massive viewership, like between 30 and 50,000 views a day on our streams over here. Make sure, let me go, is this not? There we go. It is working. Good. I was worried that it wasn't working. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you follow us. We're getting a lot of viewership. Make sure you're hitting that follow if you are paying attention. This is pinned up in the top here, this $13,000 bonuses that you can sign up for. When you do sign up for this link, make sure after you sign up, it doesn't matter where you're at. In fact, you should all be using a VPN no matter when you're signing up for exchanges or doing anything within crypto. Use a VPN. I always set mine to Brazil or Lithuania so people can't identify to try and hack me. It is not illegal for you to use these exchanges when those exchanges themselves have basically geo limitations of where they can really promote. Just make sure you're setting your VPN in another country, sign up. And then once you sign up, hit that register right here and you can participate in this $13,000 in bonuses. Now let's dive into what we want to look into right now because we're teetering right on the edge of breaking through this $3 trillion market cap zone. And we're still sitting here in that over 63% Bitcoin dominance right now, which means over 63% of this total market cap is completely made up of Bitcoin itself. And we're seeing Ethereum still sitting there in a laggard way. XRP even, for those of you that love XRP, I saw a meme today. Had you bought $1,000, let me say this on a main stage, because this is important. If you put $1,000 into XRP 7 years ago, you would basically still have $1,000 today. Now you would have ridden huge upswings, massive downswings. And in fact, I do think the landscape is changing looking forward, but it just points to highlight, regardless of the coin you're holding, whether you really like it or not, it's not a guarantee that you're going to see massive, massive gains. Depending on what regulatory enforcements come down, which now seems a lot less likely with this new SEC, with this new presidential and administration and the framework that the crypto ecosystem is in now. But the point being is you might have to endeavor a lot of different troubles along the way, especially where narratives go, where liquidity is flowing. And right now, the focus on Bitcoin over altcoins, you have to make sure that you are diversifying your portfolio, because just because you think a coin has great utility doesn't mean it's going to do absolutely rock solid and incredible. We saw with the AI boom last summer that went all the way into December, that then almost completely unraveled. I sold a lot of BitTensor Tau on that downswing. And people were like, but you made the call. Well, the market conditions changed. I sold Tau, and then Tau dropped so much. I was like, okay, it's time to get back in. We got back in on Tau. I told you all about it at $230, $231, I think. And now it's up at 370 something. And that's a spot trade that we're now up over 40, 50% on. And it's incredible. We want to make sure we're making smart moves because we're seeing some really great things. Now, considering where we're at in this market cycle, my question for you is if you're watching on X, get involved in the live chat. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Rumble, get involved in that live chat. I can see them all on my screen up here. I like to see all the different names. We got Crypto Crank in the house as well. Shout out to you. DeFi Crypto Airdrops, Ugin Sky. We got Granny's Garden. We got all the regulars in here. We got about 1,500 people watching right now. So shout out to each and every one of you. But considering where we're at in the market cycle, just remember, this is going to change over time. Now, everybody, I talked about it on the Crypto Town Hall over on the Mario Nawfal channel earlier this morning. I think the 4-year cycle is going to be broken. So while this has held relatively well from where the halving was, how many days before the halving, how many days after the halving, where great buy points were on a time basis, I do think this is going to change, but we still need to pay attention to it. This is suggesting, based on the last 2 cycles, 500 days after the halving was a great opportunity to sell before the drop. Now, if this were to play out again, this would put us somewhere in, basically the third quarter into the fourth quarter of this year, which is something that we've been talking about for over a year. October to November timeframe, potential market cycle top. The question this time, though, is that top going to actually result in a 60, 70, 80% drawdown? Or is the top going to be something like we saw right here in March of last year, which was a local top? And then we had 7 months basically sideways and down, slightly angled downward price action. Before then, boom, we got a new top. Are we going to just be stair stepping up for the next many, many months? Shout out to Manawalk, $5 super chat. You going to Bitcoin Vegas? Hell yeah, I'm going to Bitcoin Vegas. I'm going to be grilling out. My girl's going to be there as well. We got the whole Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement crew is going to be there. And I hope we can all link up for those of you that are going to be out there. If so, anyone can get a room available, a friend could get in on, hit me on DMs on the side. I'm not sure of it at this point, but we could talk about it. We could try and coordinate for some people. Shout out to Alexander G as well. Castle, we got the crew in here. Green Day Profits. John Boy, how you doing? But this is important to pay attention to because there are a lot of expectations that there's going to be a pretty decently large run-up in the very near future, and I'm going to show you why. But also, what does it mean when we get a potential market cycle top if the 4-year cycle is changing? We got to ask ourselves, because this is a new market that also just became new again on the world stage with this current new crypto-focused administration. The world is changing. The ecosystem for Bitcoin and crypto is changing. And what it means for these cycles, I think, is changing too, as institutions are moving exponentially to stack as much Bitcoin as possible while retail is still asleep at the wheel. But you're not asleep at the wheel because you're watching BitLab Academy, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement. If you're not watching those other 2 channels I just mentioned, make sure you are. It's our family of channels here at Hit Network. Big love to each and every one of you. What we're seeing here is this indication of where we're at in the cycle on what's going on. But what does it mean? This is what I'm seeing. This is the mega pump gateway that we all need to be paying attention to. This is this previous range high, currently the all-time high for Bitcoin, which is roughly a little over $109,000. So cutting it right here at $110,000. I do think that once we cross through this threshold, I think there's a very high likelihood that the price action is going to move relatively quick all the way up here to in the $140,000 to $160,000 range. Does that mean the price action on 2 candles goes up there? No. Could it? Yeah. But what I'm talking about is something like this, where we get this, we start to break through a threshold and we start to move up, and then we have some work to be done. Oh, push up, break down, oh, push up, we get the high. Something to where once we cross this threshold, I think this is when we start to see retail wake up. We start seeing the mass advertisement of Bitcoin for free on every major financial news network out there, both mainstream media as well as alternative media, like here on all these different streaming services. This is when retail wakes up. When everybody's already been stacking, you and I stacking way down here, and the price action, they don't buy here because they're scared. They wait till the price is all the way up here and buy. And in this whole region here is all basically FOMO buyers. Now, while that sucks, that's just the nature of how every market cycle works in every asset ever. People buy in very late and then it reverses on them and they lose money. I don't want you to lose money. I don't want anybody to lose money, But unfortunately, a lot of people do not pay attention to the data. They pay attention to their feelings. Now, your feelings are great in relationships. Your feelings are great in conversation. Your feelings do not have a place in this goddamn market, okay? The only thing your feelings can do in this market is signal to you, oh, other people might be feeling this because you're getting that inkling that used to make you feel scared. Now I look at that as this is a buy signal, baby. So when we see this and we're inching towards it, we're not there yet. We still have to contend with the fact that the price action might push and do some work in this region, might even get rejected here at the $110,000 mark to find some support back down here in the mid, 103 to 98,000, somewhere near, and then launch. That would be the best case scenario, because this would mean that you would actually be testing the strength of this move to the upside. We don't want this just to slice through and then immediately shoot up here, because that would probably mark a top if we did. But we're going to be breaking down some more signals on this in a couple of minutes. So let's come back to that. I do think this is a pretty good representation, kind of in theory, of where we're at in this current market cycle. This is from Sensei. It says Bitcoin has a lot of room for growth. I agree with this. Do you think Bitcoin's going to push a lot higher? Or do you think we're somewhat regionally near a top, meaning somewhere between here and 115,000? Do you think this will be a top? I sure don't. I think we're somewhere in this case on this psychology of a market cycle, this cheat sheet, Wall Street cheat sheet. I think we're somewhere in this region. Now, the question is going to be, what does the price action look like from here all the way up to where this euphoria stage is? One of the reasons why I do not believe we have hit belief, thrill, and euphoria is because these are really marking retail, not institutions, not the big money, not these people that have been building in this market and trading in this market that understand what's going on. This is the retail hype. People are starting to get optimistic or becoming aware, belief. Oh, maybe I should buy. Oh yeah. Okay, we're going to buy. And everybody's starting to look. When you're buying, it's just going up. You're making money, euphoria. Oh my God, screenshots of your portfolio, only to then have it completely basically collapse from there at the end, basically the end of the bull cycle and the transition into the bear cycle. What we're seeing here, none of this has been marked yet because we have not seen major retail interest in the price action, in the on-chain data, in the types of wallets, the new money that's come in. So I do think very likely we're somewhere in this region, much like is laid out right here. Now, continuing on, what else we see? This is something to take account of. This is weird and abstract and it doesn't matter to Bitcoin. Well, maybe it does in two different ways. This is the number of ships. If you come back over here, look at this. This is the number of ships outside.
I promise I'm not trying to raise.
Let's actually just listen to him. Is that, yeah, the volume's on. This is important because this may have a follow-on, carryover, lingering effect in what we're seeing in economic data, not only in the US, but the world over, because of what the things that are going on with the trade war. These are ships. And just take a look. This is very quick, so take a listen to this.
I promise I'm not trying to raise a ton of concern here, but what you're looking at right now in real time is the port of Shanghai. This is the busiest port in China, and all of the yellow that you're seeing, the arrows are moving cargo ships, and the yellow dots are the ones that are either anchored or docked for loading or because of
the tariffs, a lot of ships
waiting until they're getting the green light to go ahead and move on with their shipments. Now, let's compare this to what we are seeing in the United States. This is the port of Los Angeles. Again, this is in real time. You can go look on Vessel Tracker right now. Everything that's a cargo ship is docked and nothing is coming in and out. Now, keep in mind, China has come out and said, because of the tariffs and the trade war that's happening right now, China has said they're stopping most, if not all, of their shipments to the United States for the time being. This is a little scary because this is supposed to be the busiest port in the entire Western Hemisphere, and there is nothing coming in and out right now.
So that may have an impact. Remember, we are forward-looking market participants. All of us here on BitLab Academy, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement. When you are investing in markets and you're going to do it successfully, you look forward to the impact things today may have on sentiment and the type of actions people are taking in market to take on risk or to de-risk. Now we're in a very interesting place right now with Bitcoin specifically, because Bitcoin is thought of as potentially a hedge against all the nonsense in the world, a hedge against world governments, a hedge against the traditional legacy financial system. It is your money. You are the financial sovereign if you are self-custodying your Bitcoin. But it's also still very tied to global finance, the global financial network. So while there are many market participants that are treating this like a risk on, risk off asset, other market participants are stacking regardless because they see this having this breakaway effect where it is outside the system. So that being said, there's still going to be volatility. If people are de-risking, you're going to see people selling Bitcoin. And there's going to be other people taking advantage of that de-risking and taking on more and more custody of more and more Bitcoin. So my strategy here is to look for buying opportunities. If we do have some turbulent times the next 2 months, 3 months, 8 months, as these things will progressively linger and sort of seep into the global financial markets and the world economies, we have to take that into account. Now, what does that mean? We have to still see, because I still think that there's going to be a pretty big flip here in the coming a couple weeks with trade deals going on with India, with China, if that were to resolve with China specifically, and what it's going to mean for the impact of the trade war, of tariffs and all these different things. So we got to keep our eyes on this. It is very important. Now let's get into some other nitty gritty about what's going on in these markets. Now this is just funny as it can be. There is the new Pelosi Act, which I'm sure you've all seen. And this is not only the Pelosi Act, like Nancy Pelosi, it actually comes from, what is it called? The politicians' exclusion from owning securities and investments. Basically, all the actual acronym here is what is phenomenal. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. The ban on members of Congress trading stocks. And this is, of course, named after Pelosi, because Nancy Pelosi has accrued, in the hundreds of millions of dollars of profits from trading inside information that she has from being on all these different committee boards and being in Congress. Should that be allowed? I don't think so, especially when they're out there prosecuting people for insider trading and such. I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So I think it's great that we're seeing, whether or not this passes, I doubt it will, because Congress has to vote on this, but it's interesting. Talk about a troll there. It's like, let's call it the Pelosi Act. I think it's fantastic. Now, continuing on, I want to get some other things in the markets. Okay. Breaking. This is major. The U.S. Treasury will now need to borrow $514 billion this quarter, an increase of 320% from its previous estimate. This is going to be, the printer is inevitable. So stack outside the Bitcoin. It's outside the Bitcoin. Man, I got stuff in my throat. Printer is inevitable. So stack outside the system. Bitcoin, this is going to be the ultimate capture mechanism of everything going on. This is the global liquidity breaking to all-time highs before we're seeing this massive influx of what we're seeing from this needed borrowing from the U.S. Treasury, let alone the FOMC meeting that's happening next week, May 7th, voting on basically whether or not they're going to have Fed rate cuts, and also are we going to get closer towards quantitative easing. Everything is setting up in the most beautiful fashion, from the support of our current administration, the change in the regulatory bodies and their mission focus, as well as the inevitability of money printing coming in a very near future, and what that means for Bitcoin. Because we've seen, if we look at this, the increase in global liquidity is the blue line here. Look at this in conjunction with what we're seeing on Bitcoin's price action. Oh, we had a little bit of reduction in global liquidity. Well, look at that. We also had a sell-off in Bitcoin. Price action was a bit flat here. Yes, it was moving to the upside, but fairly flat, not a sharp angle. But when this really started ticking up, this almost gave that push, that fuel in the engines of the bulls to really get this parabolic uptrend. What do we see right here? Sharp increase right here. In fact, if we show this on the year-over-year change, which we can see right here, this will load. God dang it. Let me click things 42 times for it to work. There we go. This is the increase. This is a rate of change as compared to the year previously. When we see this sharp uptick, look at this. This was preceding the massive parabolic uptrend shift that we got right here. And what are we seeing right here? We not only have shifted dramatically up right here, this rate of change is about to also break out of what we've seen on a almost 3-year basically range of this change has been in. So if this were to continue to break out to the upside, not only the global liquidity itself, but this rate of change, this is indicating a likely very strong magnet to the upside for Bitcoin, and thus the rest of the crypto market as well will likely follow in some regard. The question is going to be, how far behind is that going to happen? Is the liquidity focus going to be primarily on Bitcoin because it's right now mostly institutions? Or as this retail hype comes in, are they going to be equally focused on Bitcoin like institutions, or are we going to see a lot of that bleed over into the altcoins? So let's exit that because I don't want to keep going back to it. Then we see right here, Pantera Capital says Bitcoin is going to $745,000. Now, very well-known person here in the crypto ecosystem. Let's listen to what he has to say.
You bet your life it's not going to zero?
I used to tell people it could definitely go to zero to try and be, conservative. I don't think it's possible now. 50 million people in the U.S. own it, 300 million people globally. BlackRock and Fidelity are selling it. Like, it really has reached escape velocity.
But you're 745,000. I mean, I heard 13 million from Michael Saylor the other day.
I think it can go. It's going up 3 orders of magnitude since we launched our fund. I think it could go up a fourth, and that puts it at 15 trillion market cap, which it still seems relatively small versus 500 trillion of financial assets. That's doable.
Okay.
Orders of magnitude an increase of not only the market cap, but the price. And remember, there is a fixed total number of Bitcoin, which the rest of the world is still trying to contend with even understanding. This is why when it's not a Ponzi scheme when you say essentially Bitcoin is the ultimate capture mechanism for all the money printing that's happening. Going into Bitcoin is inevitable at some rate of percentage. So not stacking Bitcoin is the most financially irresponsible thing that you could do now that the cat's out of the bag. It is not going to zero. It has reached escape velocity. So the question is, what are you doing about it? Now, zooming in a little bit deeper, what else we got? $14 billion bank, SoFi, bringing back Bitcoin and crypto trading for 10 million users after Biden's shutdown. We want to make a bigger push into crypto. This is going to be the story. This is the domino that's going to continue to fall throughout the entire global financial market of how can we harness the blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto ecosystem. How can we offer services in regards to this ecosystem? How can we be involved? How can we make sure that we stake our claim in some fashion there? Now, do you need to use the banks? No. You can use Bitcoin outside the system. But the truth is the majority of people are simps. That's true. Unfortunately, most people want to, they need some authority out there that they're asking permission to. And it's sad to say, but that's just how the world works. When you look at a flock, there's, one leader and the rest follow. And this is, people are going to use the institutions that they're comfortable with in droves. So in some regards, I do think it's incredibly good that banks are getting involved, but you all need to make sure that you are, if you're watching this type of stuff, you are so far ahead of the curve. Make sure you are stacking outside of banks, but this will be good for adoption. This will be driving a huge amount of marketing as well as services and awareness to these different massive groups of clientele in regards to Bitcoin and crypto. And then we see, after the correction and market cool down, a fresh wave of new money is starting to come in. We're seeing new capital come in as especially the short-term holder cap ratio is ticking to the upside. Now, look at the heights that this has come to. This is essentially fully reset, much like we saw back here just before this September of last year, basically looking at that move that basically went 107% from the upper 40,000s all the way up to $109,000. The short-term holder cap ratio dropped much like it has here. Are we loading up for that next leg up? I do believe we are, and I'm stacking like it, and I'm navigating this market like we are going to be getting that move in the very near future. Now we see previous cycles and the US dollar. and what this looks like. This is suggesting pushing up into somewhere in the $300,000 and $350,000 realm. Will we get that? I think that's if we get the super bull cycle where we're just getting institutions stacking like mad, retail waking up, going in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this is possible, but I'm still looking at somewhere between 175 and 240,000, somewhere in that range as a market cycle top. But again, remember, I'm still talking about stair stepping to the upside with maybe a 40 or maybe a 50% pullback as a bear market. But I'm getting increasingly more like we're going to get an extended 2017 cycle like we saw like this, just really stretching out with maybe one or two larger than 30% corrections. But this still plays the same role. Whether we're looking at the price target or just a general structure here, I do think we are in the middle of this upswing in a very meaningful way. So we're somewhere, I think, roughly about right here, right now. We're in this zone. So the question is going to be, what are we going to do about it? I know I'm stacking. I know I'm looking into this because we're seeing the 30-day moving average of net taker volume has surged into positives territory, signaling stronger long positions in Bitcoin derivatives. With derivatives deriving 90% of trading volume, this shift hints at bullish sentiment and potential trend ignition. But this doesn't mean throw it all in and don't look back, because we can see a very mixed bag on the liquidation heat maps here, where we do have a lot of long positions that have a lot of liquidity below us that very well could get scooped down into. In fact, I talked quite a bit the last couple of days when we're looking at the price action on Bitcoin. I still think that it's possible that we do get a move that comes back down into this region, retest it, much like I have the green line drawn here. But Kelly, you're talking about breaking 110, going to 160. Sure. And again, I also said in that same breath that it's not going to be a straight line. In fact, if we saw the price action do something like this and test back into the 91, 91.5, maybe even a small deviation below into $88,000, $89,000, I still think this would all be in perfect bullish context, because we'd be establishing yet again another higher low, somewhere anywhere in this region would still be a higher low. Effectively, bulls defending the zone would only give me more conviction that we are going to test this $110,000 and then move well beyond that. So when we're looking at price action and we realize, yes, the sentiment's flipping bullish, it doesn't mean it's only going to be bullish candles. We very well can see the price action shaking people out along the way before we get that move to the upside. So all of this is in context with what we're seeing. And then we see the altcoins. Alt season is about to start. Well, let's see. Let's see if we're going to get a similar sort of alt season, or if we're going to get a handful of different alts. But either way, I do think the major players, what do I mean by major players? When we're looking here at CoinMarketCap, when we're looking below Bitcoin, okay, Ethereum, top altcoin. You might not like it. You might think it's dead. It's still number 2. $219 billion market cap. The next one down, Tether, which is a stable coin, $148 billion. The next actual altcoin down, XRP, $134 billion, $84 billion. That's a pretty big gap there, right? Solana, everybody thinks Solana is so great. I think Solana is great too, but realize Solana has a $76 billion market cap versus Ethereum's $219 billion market cap. So it's funny to me that so many people are counting Ethereum out when it is so much larger, so much of a larger ecosystem, and also so much larger data points than we're seeing in other altcoins. Now, these other altcoins might be growing quick, but there's a this is already fully established in a lot of ways. So you're seeing a lot of huge growth metrics in these coins that are not as old and also have a lot of things where they're attracting new users, but they still are nowhere near competing with Ethereum. You have to realize that. Now, does that mean I think Ethereum is going to outpace the growth of some of these? Probably not. But I do think that Ethereum is still a staple in the crypto ecosystem. We have to pay attention to that because there are some great signs and signals here, especially when we look at this, this total index. We have seen in the last 2 cycles, this basically double touch here, this double bottom before liftoff, double bottom before liftoff. Is this essentially all we're seeing here? In this case, it's kind of a triple bottom. Are we about to get massive inflows, massive capital flooding into the altcoin market here in the very near future? Based on this chart, it would suggest that's about to come. I still think we need to, I don't want to say hedge ourselves, but tread carefully, because I do think Bitcoin's going to take a little bit of the show for a little bit longer. And not every altcoin may have this same sort of effect like we've seen in previous cycles, because now we have millions of coins versus tens and hundreds back here. And then, starting to get into the thousands, now into the millions. So there's a lot of diffusion of that liquidity throughout the ecosystem. Now, I don't think every altcoin, it's not going to be like throwing a dart at the board and everything's running away this time. I think you do need to focus a little bit on what does your coin do? What type of ecosystem does it have? What type of liquidity interest is there? Is it just retail? Is it just hype cycle FOMO buyers like in memes? Is it actual utility like coins like XRP and BNB and Solana and Cardano, Tron even, Sui? We got Chainlink, one of the probably the most important crypto that's out there, with all of its integrations throughout the entire crypto ecosystem, as well as the legacy financial system, SWIFT, global payments, Chainlink integrating with that, and DTCC, which is basically the clearinghouse, the settlement for everything that you're seeing in stock market. They do about $3 quadrillion a year. They're integrating with Chainlink as well. Avalanche, Stellar, cross-border payments, amongst other things. They're also integrated into the BitL fund. We're also seeing Toncoin. How can you count that out? One of the largest social media and messaging apps out there, and what they're doing with Telegram. Hedera, Hashgraph with their partnerships, Polkadot. Still, don't count this out. Some of these things might be out of the narrative focus. But I do think the majority of these very large, in this case, medium to large cap coins that have an enormous amount of different partnerships and integrations, I think we're going to see well. Now, where it gets a little hinky is when you start scrolling down and you go on page 6 and beyond. Look at this. Hippocrat, I don't even know what this is. I'm not highlighting this. I'm just showing you. It's the top one here. Number 501 is a $55 million market cap. I've never heard of this. Doesn't mean it can't perform well, but I get less conviction when you start getting to these smaller cap coins about what they're going to do. Ones that I still think are going to do well are coins like, when you come over here, and I've talked about this before, Constellation DAG, it's number 318. But I have more conviction on this, even at $111 million market cap, because Constellation DAG is one of those made in America coins. They're going to meetings in DC, at the White House, with the policymakers, with the digital chamber, with the blockchain summit in DC, with the White House, and all these things that they're doing. And they also have existing contracts with the Department of Defense and the U.S. Air Force and NASA and U.S. Treasury and U.S. Transcom. Seems to me like that has a little bit more substantiation. Even at $111 million market cap, I would suggest that this is probably very undervalued, because they're already tied in to major players. Panasonic is launching on Constellation DAG. This is not a sponsored section. I'm just saying, I'm highlighting, you have to look at the different fundamentals of a project, what they're doing, why they're doing it, who they're doing it with. It could give you indication, is it overvalued or undervalued? And then we continue on. What else we got? Going back over to talking about Ethereum, the ETH ecosystem just hit a new all-time high of active users, active addresses, 15.4 million active addresses. That's a 62.7% surge in the last 7 days. Maybe something's coming to ETH. And even if it's not, you all need to realize the price of a coin does not directly relate to, is the project doing things or not? Because there's a speculative market of the valuation of coins, and there's also the actual integration and use and utility of the project. And ETH is the largest ecosystem out there in the crypto ecosystem for all altcoins. So much is built on the ERC20 standard. In fact, so many altcoins have seen how important ETH is that they have EVM built in. What is EVM? Ethereum Virtual Machine. Make things compatible with ETH, because it is the largest ecosystem out there. Now, have they taken some missteps? Probably. I would agree, yes. Have they had some issues moving from proof of work to proof of stake? Probably, because now you're changing the fundamentals. It gives you less legacy in your ecosystem. If you're changing things, it makes people wonder what's going to change next. But on that note, I think ETH is still kind of counted out right now with a lot of people's minds, which leads me to believe it's probably a pretty good opportunity. Because then you also see things like BlackRock, their BitL fund, $2.5 billion And how much of that is made up of Ethereum? Oh, look at that. 2.3. 2.3 billion of the 2.5 billion is on ETH. And some people are counting ETH out. It blows my mind. And then we look at the global liquidity ticking up, Bitcoin, ETH, altcoins. I think we have some incredible price action coming. And we see, look at this, the ETF flows. We had that sort of outflow scenario, but massive inflow. In fact, I think we saw the second largest inflow day in history yesterday. And look at this, plus 10,000 Bitcoin on BlackRock. 10,000. That is massive. Massive inflows. And we got a little sell off here, but I think we're going to start seeing this. In fact, I think we're going to overshadow some of these previous peaks. And remember, we don't have a lot of data on ETFs for Bitcoin yet because it's, only about a year and a half old, a little under a year and a half. But we're seeing the things we need to see. We have Bitcoin has reclaimed the short-term holder moving average as well as the 200-day moving average. All these right in here. This is a 200-day right here. Of course, it reclaimed quickly. But I just want you to notice when we look at Bitcoin, we talked about this about a week or two ago. If we turn on the 4MA, let's go to the daily. Do I have it on another chart? I think I do. Yeah. Did I delete them? Please don't tell me I deleted them. There we go. So we had 66 days after the death cross when the bull market was supposed to be over because of the death cross. 66 days and this boom then launched. Boom. I mean, from back here, look, when this reclaimed, let's go to the measurement tool. From this point here, that still went up 72%. This happened again back here last summer or before last summer. This is fall of 2023. This when this reclaimed, boom. This just this move here, that's 74%. But if you really want to take this from where that went, this is right here. Okay, this actually went up 153% after it was dead because of the death cross. We need to stop following those hyperbolic thoughts. So the average of these two is 51 days. And look at what we're seeing here. This reclaimed it kind of in record time. But I do want to just highlight that we did see an attempt to reclaim that kind of reclaimed, rejected. An attempt to reclaim that kind of reclaimed, rejected. And then on the third reclaim is when it launched. Similarly, when we look back at this time, look, attempted to reclaim, rejected, attempted to reclaim, rejected, third time launched. So there is a reason to believe that even though we have great price action right now, there still could be a bit of a sell-off. And then another attempt and a bit of a sell-off, and then the launch up into the targets that we're talking about. The point being is nobody has the answer. I don't have the answer. Discover Crypto doesn't have the answer. Frankie Candles doesn't have the answer. CryptoFace doesn't have the answer. Bloomberg doesn't have the answer. Nobody has the answer. All we can do is figure out what signs, signals, data points that you understand and that you're going to feel confident taking moves in this market on, and make sure that you're taking risk where you can deal with it. So you're not jumping in hope and selling in fear. You want to buy the market's fear and sell the market's hope. That's what we want to do because we're setting up for the most magnificent bull run pump that we can even imagine with the support of the US government behind it. Does that not make you excited? I know it makes me excited. Well, everybody, that's all we got for today. I love you. I appreciate you. I just want to call out again, if you're watching, you should be stacking right now and you should be protecting yourself. Shout out to our channel partners, Arculus. Head over to getarculus.com. Use code BitLab, BITLAB 20, all one word, BitLab 20 for 20% off. So you can protect your crypto, so you can protect your future. One tap, total solution, total security, buy, sell, swap, trade. It's my favorite crypto cold storage solution out there. Make sure you head over to getarculus.com. Sign up for trading with us over on LBank. Put on your VPN. Protect yourself with VPNs as well. But sign up, get access to $13,000 in bonuses there. The link is pinned in the top of the live chat on YouTube and Twitter. It's right up here. Click on this. It's 13,000 in bonuses. Sign up there. Make sure you have a VPN on just to protect yourself. And make sure you got the like, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We have our other links and things you can follow right in here. If you're watching on Rumble, make sure you're following. We're getting like 20, 30, 40,000 people watching these streams, throughout the day after they're live. Make sure you're following, join us over there, and shout out to every single one of you for being tuned in. I do appreciate you. If you're watching on X, a big shout out to each and every one of you. You got 2,246. This is just so you all know. Sometimes I'll call out the number and people are like, there's only 47 people watching, or there's only 138. Well, we're on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble. We are throughout the metaverse, baby. So like right now we've got 2,532 people watching across all platforms. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. If you go and retweet this, we'll do a giveaway tomorrow. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to post it here in the live chat on YouTube and also on Twitter. If you're watching on X, you're watching it on X. So just retweet the space. Make sure you're following me, retweet the space. And if we get over 40 by tomorrow, when we start the show tomorrow, we will do another $100 value giveaway. Could be an Arculus, could be some merchandise, could be $100 USDT. We'll figure that one out tomorrow. Hit that retweet, show some love, hit that like button. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to send you over to Blockchain Basement now. Let's go drop the BitLab love in there. Drop some positive comments to the family. Let's see, Blockchain Basement. Are they live? It's not showing them. Blockchain Basement. There we go. They're live. So I'm going to send you over there. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Show some love to everybody out there. Be kind. Do something kind for somebody. And to anybody out there that's getting the butterflies in their tummy, I'm sending them back to you. Adios, everybody.